Hey everyone, welcome back. Thanks for joining us. Today we've got a brand new story to share with you. So let's begin. For 4 years, I truly believed Eleanor was my perfect match. Our relationship seemed an idyllic portrait. She was kind, endlessly affectionate, and fiercely independent. Unlike other women I dated, she never demanded expensive gifts or leaned on me for money. In fact, she always insisted on splitting the bill, a habit that consistently reassured me she wasn't drawn to my wealth. When I finally proposed, she collapsed into my arms, tears streaming down her face as she whispered, "You're all I ever wanted." At that moment, I had never felt such absolute certainty about anything in my life. But a few months before the wedding, the carefully constructed facade began to crack. That evening, I came home earlier than expected, eager to surprise Eleanor with dinner. As I walked down the hallway toward the living room, I heard laughter, low, almost mocking. Then my name. "Oh, he's definitely signing it. He's too dumb to notice." It was her friend, Vivian. I froze, confused. I took another silent step forward, straining to hear. "Wait, isn't he the one who wanted a prenup?" Vivian asked. Eleanor chuckled, a dry, dismissive sound. "Yeah, but I made sure my lawyer set it up so it benefits me. He thinks it's protecting him. But if we divorce, I still walk away with half an alimony." A cold, heavy pit formed in my stomach. My breath caught in my throat. "So you're basically playing the long game," Vivian said, sounding amused. Eleanor sighed, as if the entire thing were a tedious chore. "I prefer to call it securing my future. If I have to tolerate him for a few years, it's worth it." My blood turned to ice. The woman I was about to marry, the woman I trusted with my entire future, had been planning to use me from the very beginning. Every shared moment, every tender kiss, every whispered promise. It had all been a calculated lie. I should have walked away then. But instead, a different decision solidified. If Eleanor wanted to trap me, I would ensure she walked directly into her own exquisitely crafted cage. A week later, Eleanor brought up the prenup, her usual sweet smile in place. "Julian, darling, I know you just want to protect yourself, and I totally get it. This prenup is fair for both of us." She spoke with such sincere conviction, as if she truly believed her own deceptive words. I acted exactly as she expected. Casual, trusting, a lamb to the slaughter. "Of course, sweetheart. I trust you completely," I said smoothly. She beamed, convinced she had me wrapped around her finger. What she didn't know was that I had already hired a top-tier lawyer, one far more astute than hers. I had quietly modified the prenup to protect myself absolutely, but I didn't just swap the documents. No, that would have been too risky. Instead, I created a situation where Eleanor would unknowingly sign the document herself, believing she was simply correcting a minor clerical error. A few days later, I brought it up as if it were a mere afterthought. "Hey, my lawyer finally sent over the final prenup documents. We just need to sign them and get them notarized," I told her. Eleanor nodded eagerly, convinced she was mere moments away from securing her gilded future. When we arrived at my lawyer's office, everything was set in motion. My lawyer, Mr. Thorne, played his part flawlessly, feigning fluster as he flipped through the papers. "Oh," he muttered, brow furrowing. "I just noticed we printed 2 versions by mistake. One is the old draft your fiancé's lawyer sent, and one is the revised final version." Eleanor barely blinked. To her, this was nothing more than a harmless clerical error. I played dumb, furrowing my brow as I leaned in. "Wait, which one are we supposed to sign?" Mr. Thorne handed both versions to Eleanor. One was the original prenup, the one meticulously designed to benefit her. The other was my modified version, engineered to utterly dismantle her plan. Eleanor didn't bother to read them carefully. Why would she? In her mind, victory was already assured. She flipped through the pages quickly, skimming headers rather than scrutinizing details. "This one looks right," she said confidently, pointing to the modified version, the one that protected me completely. I forced myself not to smile. "Are you sure, darling? I don't want to mess this up," I said, feigning hesitation. Eleanor rolled her eyes playfully and nudged me. "Oh my God. Stop worrying. Let's just sign this and get it over with." She signed without hesitation, and just like that, she signed away every shred of her leverage. We finalized everything in front of a notary, making it legally binding. Her own lawyer was present, meaning she couldn't later claim she didn't understand the terms. Everything was recorded and documented. She had walked straight into her own trap without even realizing it. Now all I had to do was wait. Eleanor had meticulously planned the wedding of her dreams, the kind plucked straight from a movie screen. The venue was a grand, opulent estate perched high above the city, offering breathtaking panoramic views. The guest list swelled to hundreds of family members, friends, and high-profile acquaintances. The decor was extravagant. Thousands of white roses, shimmering crystal chandeliers, and a live orchestra playing soft classical music. This wasn't just a wedding. It was a statement. She had played her role perfectly for years, enduring what she viewed as a boring but wealthy fiancé, convinced that today was the day she would finally secure her financial future forever. Too bad she never saw what was coming. I stood at the altar, dressed in a custom-tailored tuxedo, my expression unreadable. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't excited. I was simply waiting. For months, I had allowed her to believe she had me completely ensnared. I had watched her plan every minute detail of this wedding, thinking it was the moment she would officially trap me. But today was the day she lost everything. The orchestra began to play a delicate crescendo. The massive doors at the end of the aisle swung open. Eleanor walked in, draped in a luxurious white gown, looking every bit the blushing bride she pretended to be. Her eyes met mine, and she smiled, utterly unaware that she was walking toward her own spectacular destruction. The guests sighed, watching what they believed was the perfect couple about to unite in eternal bliss. If only they knew. The priest began the ceremony, speaking in solemn tones about love, commitment, and honesty. I almost laughed. Then came the part where we were supposed to exchange vows. I raised my hand, stopping the priest mid-sentence. A sudden, palpable hush fell over the crowd. Eleanor frowned, tilting her head in confusion. Before we continue, I just want to take a moment to thank my wonderful fiancé, I said, my voice steady, carrying clearly across the silent hall. The guests chuckled softly, assuming I was about to deliver a heartfelt romantic speech. I also want to publicly thank her for signing such a fair and honest prenup. Dead silence. Eleanor's smile vanished. She blinked, as if she hadn't heard me correctly. Sweetheart, I continued, turning toward her. Since we're in front of everyone we love, I just want to double-check. You're still okay with the prenup, right? Her entire body stiffened. Her hands clenched around her bouquet so tightly I thought the delicate flowers might snap in half. Why are we bringing this up now? She asked, her voice unnaturally high. Because I want everyone here to witness how much we trust each other. It's just a formality, right? It doesn't change anything. Unless you were planning on leaving me. Murmurs rippled through the guests. Eleanor's face turned pale, a ghastly white beneath her bridal makeup. I saw her subtly shake her head, silently begging me to stop. I ignored her. For those who don't know, I addressed the crowd, my voice unwavering. The prenup we signed ensures that if either of us cheats or manipulates the other, they walk away with nothing. Gasped. It also makes sure that all financial assets remain separate unless merged by mutual agreement. So, for example, if my wife planned to marry me, divorce me, and take half my wealth, I let the words hang in the air, thick with unspoken meaning. That wouldn't work. Eleanor's bridesmaids exchanged nervous glances. Her parents looked visibly uneasy. Her father, a stern man, leaned forward. Eleanor, what's he talking about? She froze. I don't think we should be discussing this here, she muttered, her voice barely a whisper. Oh, but I think we should. I smiled, savoring the unfolding moment. After all, it's a simple question. If you love me, then the prenup shouldn't matter, right? She hesitated for too long. Her parents were staring at her now, waiting for an answer. The guests were whispering, pulling out their phones, some already recording. From the front row, I saw my lawyer, Mr. Thorne, phone in hand, ensuring every single moment was meticulously documented. Eleanor tried to smile, but it didn't reach her eyes. Of course, I still agree to it, she said, her voice thin, unsteady. I tilted my head, studying her, a chilling amusement in my gaze. Then why do you look like you're about to pass out? A nervous, desperate laugh escaped her lips. Can we just move on? Let's just get married. I shook my head. No, I don't think we should. A ripple of gasps spread through the crowd. I turned to the guests, my voice steady and clear. Ladies and gentlemen, I was ready to commit my life to this woman, thinking she loved me. But months ago, I overheard a conversation that made me realize she wasn't marrying me for love. The room fell dead silent. Eleanor stepped forward, panic flashing in her eyes. That's not true. You're making this up. I pulled out my phone, tapped a few buttons, and let the recording play. Her voice filled the grand hall, amplified by the sound system, laughing. He's too dumb to notice. The prenup is in my favor. He thinks it's protecting him, but if we divorce, I get half. Complete, crushing silence. Her parents looked horrified. Her bridesmaids gasped. The priest awkwardly adjusted his collar. Eleanor looked like she was about to pass out. Her father's voice cut through the tension. Eleanor, you lied to us? She whirled toward him. It was just a joke. Julian, you're overreacting. Overreacting. I let out a humorless chuckle. You were planning to screw me over and laugh about it. But guess what, Eleanor? The prenup you signed isn't in your favor. It's in mine. Her face drained of all color. What? She whispered. I shook my head. You didn't read it properly, did you? You thought you were picking the one that benefited you. I leaned in slightly, lowering my voice just enough for only her to hear. You weren't. Tears pooled in her eyes. She turned to me, her hands trembling. Please, Julian. I'll still marry you. Just forget about the prenup. She reached for my hand. I stepped back, shaking my head. No, Eleanor. You wouldn't have hesitated if you actually loved me. Her fingers curled into fists at her sides. The weight of realization hit her all at once. I turned and walked away. Eleanor was left standing at the altar, humiliated beyond repair. Her family, furious, refused to even look at her. The guests whispered. Some laughed. Others shook their heads in disbelief. She had spent years believing she had secured wealth, only to realize in an instant that she had nothing. And me? I walked out, got into my car, and drove away, free. The moment I walked out of that wedding hall, Eleanor's entire world collapsed. Her parents were furious. Her bridesmaids looked at her as if she were radioactive. The guests whispered among themselves, confusion swiftly turning into judgment. The priest awkwardly closed his book, unsure of what to do next. Eleanor stood frozen at the altar, humiliated in front of hundreds of people. And me? I had just walked away from the biggest mistake of my life. She had thought this day would mark her victory. Instead, it was the day she lost everything. Eleanor's parents had always adored me. Her father, a well-respected businessman, often told me he saw me as the son he never had. But now, as they stared at their daughter, their faces were filled with nothing but profound disgust. Her father's voice was cold, sharp. You lied to us, Eleanor. She turned to him, face pale, eyes darting around as if searching for an escape. I didn't lie, I just... Her mother cut her off, voice thick with disappointment. You planned to scam him? No, it was just a misunderstanding, she stammered. Her mother scoffed. Her father shook his head. We raised you better than this. I am ashamed. Eleanor's lip trembled. The woman who had spent years crafting the image of the perfect daughter now stood as nothing more than an embarrassment. And her family? They wanted nothing to do with her. Her bridesmaids weren't on her side anymore either. The same women who had stood beside her moments ago now inched away, whispering among themselves. The illusion of sisterhood shattered in an instant. In the days that followed, word spread like wildfire. Mutual friends reached out, some in shock, some in disgust. Apparently, even her closest friends, the ones she had laughed with about scamming me, had completely distanced themselves from her. Some were simply embarrassed to be associated with her. Some had genuinely believed she loved me and now felt betrayed themselves. Others were horrified that she had been willing to be so utterly manipulative. One of her bridesmaids even sent me a message. I had no idea she was planning this. If I did, I would have told you. She kept it from most of us, too. It turned out Eleanor had been so sure of her plan that she hadn't even told everyone the full, ugly story. She thought she could win alone, but in the end, she was left precisely that. Alone. A week after the wedding that never was, Eleanor tried to reach out. She called. I didn't answer. She texted. I ignored her. Then she showed up at my house. I had security turn her away. She was persistent, but my mind was irrevocably made up. Then I got a call from her lawyer, a Mr. Thorne. Mr. Vance. The man started, his voice smooth and professionally unctuous. My client would like to come to an agreement. I almost laughed aloud. An agreement? What for? We were never married. Well, he hesitated. She believes she is entitled to compensation for emotional distress. This time, I actually did burst out laughing. Let me get this straight. She tried to scam me, got caught, and now she wants a payday? She was under the impression that the prenup was in her favor. I scoffed. That sounds like a her problem. I hung up, and just like that, Eleanor's last desperate hope of walking away with any money vanished into thin air. A month later, I got another call. This time, it was Eleanor herself. Her voice wasn't angry or manipulative. It was broken, desperate. Please, Julian, just talk to me. I stayed silent, letting her keep talking, letting her drown in her own words. I lost everything. My family won't talk to me. My friends left. I don't even have a job anymore. I leaned back in my chair. Sounds rough, I said, my voice devoid of emotion. But you brought this on yourself. There was a pause, then a broken whisper. I never wanted it to end like this. Please, can we just talk? I still love you. For a split second, I almost felt something akin to pity. Almost. But then I remembered. I remembered the way she'd laughed about how I was too dumb to notice. I remembered how she saw me as nothing more than a walking bank account. She never loved me. She loved what I could provide. I exhaled slowly. Goodbye, Eleanor. and I hung up. That was the last time I ever heard from her. She moved into a tiny apartment, far from the luxury she was used to. No more first-class lifestyle. No more designer clothes, expensive vacations, or high-end dinners. She was living paycheck to paycheck, struggling to keep up. She still gets recognized from time to time, but not in the way she once hoped. Whenever her name comes up, people don't talk about her accomplishments. They talk about her, the woman who got left at the altar after being exposed as a gold digger. The woman who lost everything because of her own monumental greed. She thought she had secured the bag. Instead, she threw her entire life away. And me? I was free. Eleanor thought she was playing chess, but she didn't realize I was 10 moves ahead. She expected to walk away with half my wealth. She walked away with nothing. She thought she had secured a high-status life. She lost everything. She thought she could manipulate me, but in the end, she was the one begging. And me? I didn't just avoid the trap. I buried it. She spent years planning to trap me in a fake marriage, but in the end, she was the one left standing alone with nothing but regret. And that's what true karma looks like. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories like this. See you next time.